afternoon. Welcome to the National News on ITVS. My name is Seyi Tayo Folorunsho. President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria has discussed West African country issues and security issues with the visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is on a four-country African tour. Mr. Blinken said Washington was determined to remain a strong security partner for Nigeria as the two allies fight Islamist militants in the region. Nigeria has also witnessed growing violence in the north and the capital, Abuja, where armed gangs have targeted communities and kidnapped residents for ransom. Countries within the Sahel region have witnessed escalating instability following military coups in 4 of the 15-member regional bloc, ECOWAS. During his tour, which does not include any of the countries that have recently undergone coups, Mr. Blinken discussed challenges to democracy in the region. While in Abidjan, Mr. Blinken praised Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara for his plans to combat extremism in northern areas bordering the Sahel. The U.S. has been pushing to sustain its influence in Africa in the face of strong competition from Russia and China. Republican presidential hopeful Nikki Haley has vowed to present with her campaign in the wake of a second consecutive loss to Donald Trump. Ms. Haley campaigns across New Hampshire ahead of Tuesday's primary, courting both independent and moderate Republican voters. But she was unable to catch Mr. Trump, who had a comfortable 11-point lead with most ballots counted. He now appears set to clinch the Republican nomination. The former president last week won a landslide in Iowa's caucuses, with Ms. Haley placing third behind Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Mr. DeSantis quit the race days later, leaving Ms. Haley as the last remaining rival to Mr. Trump. At an election night party in Concord on Tuesday night, Ms. Haley considered the New Hampshire contest, congratulating Mr. Trump on his win, but she vowed to take a bid to become the Republican Party's presidential candidate back home to South Carolina, the state where she served as governor in a month's time. Even with her close ties to the state, opinion polls suggest Ms. Haley is trailing Mr. Trump by a wide margin. Exit polls showed her 11th-hour sprint may have paid off. Two-thirds of voters who made their decisions in the last few days voted for her, and Ms. Haley outperformed opinion polls that had shown her trailing Mr. Trump by around 20 points. Still, despite the state's sizable block of independent voters, those who are considered likely to favor Ms. Haley, she could not fully close the considerable ground between herself and the former president. Across New Hampshire ahead of the primary, some members of that base told newsmen they thought Ms. Haley was insufficiently conservative. Others said they liked her personally, but that they would not waver in their support for Mr. Trump. And now to some other news across the world. The U.S. says its forces have carried out strikes in Iraq on 3 facilities used by Iran-backed militia. The proportionate strikes targeted Kataib Hezbollah military group and other Iran-affiliated groups. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to the U.S. said the strikes were in direct response to attacks against the U.S. and coalition allies in Iraq and Syria. However, a senior Iraqi official said they were a flagrant violation of Iraq's sovereignty. Writing on X, former Twitter, Iraq's National Security Advisor Kazim al-Araj added that the U.S. strikes did not help bring calm, that the U.S. should pile on pressure for a half to the Israeli offensive in Gaza rather than targeting and bombing the bases of an Iraqi national body. Last week, a number of U.S. military personnel were injured in a missile attack on an air base in western Iraq. The U.S. Military Central Command, CENTCOM, said at the time that an Iran-backed military targeted the Al-Assad Air Base, which boasts and hosts American troops with ballistic missiles and rockets, and a group calling itself the Islamic Resistance in Iraq claimed responsibility for that attack. The group, which emerged in late 2023 and is comprised of several Iran-affiliated armed groups operating in Iraq. In a statement, Mr. Austin praised the professionalism of U.S. military personnel in planning and conducting the latest strikes in Iraq as part of efforts to further dismantle and degrade ISIS, the Islamic State group. Heavy fighting is underway in central Somalia after Al-Shabaab militants attacked military bases in Mudug region. Eyewitnesses have told newsmen they heard heavy gunfire and explosions at dawn on Wednesday. The attacks reportedly began with a suicide bombing targeting government special forces. Gamutuk Security Minister Mohammed Abdi Adin told newsmen that troops are still battling the militants in Ahad village, where the military bases are located. The Somali National News Agency SONA reports that the army, with the help of locals, thwarted the attack, inflicting heavy losses on terrorists. However, Al-Shabaab said it seized the 5 military bases and killed dozens of soldiers. The Somali Federal Forces have since August 2022 been conducting a major offensive against the Al-Qaeda-linked groups. 6 people have died, including 3 firefighters, after a truck carrying 60 tons of liquefied natural gas crashed and exploded in the Mongolian capital. At least 11 people were injured, with the fire spreading to nearby buildings. Hundreds of firefighters had been sent to battle the blaze following the collision with a car in Ulaanbaatar on Wednesday morning. An eyewitness described how he initially thought a plane had crashed. Heldenbold Sukata, a 40-year-old lawyer, told newsmen the crash, which took place just after 1 o'clock local time, had felt like an earthquake but was followed by a bright light. A resident told newsmen that by the time they realized their building was alight, their front door had already been engulfed in flames, forcing them to break out of the back door. When they looked back, the fire had reached the top of the building. Another described how the force of the explosion had not only blown out their windows, but also destroyed their balcony. According to Sambuyan Amasai, Mongolia's deputy prime minister, no casualties had been reported from inside any of the building. However, he revealed the firefighters died in a second explosion, which threw part of the truck with a lot of force, resulting in the tragic loss of lives. And now to sport. Ghana have sacked their coach, Chris Hughton, after getting knocked out in the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. Hughton's side failed to win any of the 3 group stage matches in Côte d'Ivoire, picking up only 2 points and finishing third in Group B. Although despite the disappointing draw against Mozambique on Monday, Ghana still had a chance of qualifying for the last 16 as one of the best third-placed teams. However, Cameroon ensured that never happened as they beat the Gambia 3-2 on Tuesday to confirm the elimination of the Black Stars from the tournament. According to the statement released from the Ghana Football Association on Tuesday, they announced that Chris Hughton had been relieved of his duties as head coach of the senior national team with immediate effect, and has also taken a decision to dissolve the technical team of the Black Stars. The Black Stars, under Hughton's management, suffered a 2-1 loss to Cape Verde, drew with Egypt, and experienced a bizarre turn of events in their must-win game against Mozambique. They surrendered a 2-goal lead in the last 3 minutes of added time. And that's it on the news update on ITVS. Please do not forget to join us when it is 4:30 today for the subsequent news bulletin. My name is Eyitayo Florisho. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.